today I'm going to be making a chocolate cake from a keto cookbook. It is a chocolate cake with chocolate frosting, and it has minimal carbs in it, so it's going to be a really good cake that you can make for your family if you are on the keto diet. I'm super excited about it. So let's go ahead and get right into the recipe, and let me show you how to make this cake. Alright, so before we get started, you are going to need a few ingredients here. I'm going to go ahead and list everything down below. That way there's no confusion of what I've used, and I'll go ahead and list all the teaspoons and all that as well. We're going to go ahead and set our oven to 350 degrees and preheat it while we're making the cake batter. Then we're going to go ahead and flour the pan. So this is essential for anybody that's making a cake. Y'all know that. We're going to go ahead and oil the pan with some coconut oil. And then I'm going to go ahead and take some coconut flour and I'm going to just dust that around in the pan to make sure that it is a non-stick cake. Now for the wet ingredients. We're going to go ahead and take 3 eggs at room temperature. Crack those into a mixing bowl. After that, we're going to go ahead and take 1/2 of a teaspoon of vanilla extract. Any kind of vanilla extract is good. You want to get a good kind. You don't want it to be the, vanilla essence. You want it to be the extract. After that, we're going to go ahead and start adding in some of the sugar. I went ahead and used a Swerve, and I'm using the granulated Swerve. It's erythritol, and I'm using 1/4 cup of that. Then I'm going to go ahead and add in the coconut milk. I'm adding in 1 full cup of coconut milk into the batter. Then I'm going to go ahead and just kind of mix it around. I'm going to go ahead and take some coffee. So I have this espresso coffee that I use to enhance the chocolate in the cake. I'm going to take 2 tablespoons of that and put that in there just to enhance the chocolate in the cake. You do not need to do this if you don't want to. It's just something that I do when I make chocolate cakes. At this point, we're going to go ahead and add in the coconut oil. This is going to make the cake moist, and this is what you want to do. To make a moist cake, you have to either add butter or you have to add oil. We're using coconut oil, and we're using 1/2 cup plus 2 tablespoons of coconut oil. And we're going to go ahead and mix that in really, really well to combine all those ingredients. All right, now that we've done all of the wet ingredients, we are going to be adding in the dry ingredients. So for this, you're going to need either almond flour, or what I've decided to use is the hazelnut flour. Almond flour or hazelnut flour, either one will do. They both taste exactly the same when they are baked. So just so you know, I'm going to go ahead and sift all these dry ingredients together. You're going to want to do this as well. So first off, you're going to need 1 cup plus 2 tablespoons of the almond flour. Then we're going to go ahead and add in the coconut flour. You also need this. This is going to be like a binder. The coconut flour actually absorbs all of the moisture and makes things a little bit more stick together. So you're going to need 5 tablespoons plus 1 teaspoon of the coconut flour. That is not very much. You're going to see that, but you don't need very much of it. At this point, we're going to go ahead and add in the cocoa powder. We're going to be using 1/4 cup of cocoa powder. This is just regular run-of-the-mill cocoa powder. You can use any kind of cocoa powder you have. I like this one because it does not have a lot of carbs in it. I think it has actually 0 carbs, so it's just like a dark chocolate cocoa powder. Then we're going to need some baking soda, and this is going to be, you're going to need 1 teaspoon of baking soda. Then we're going to need some of the confectionate Swerve. This is the powdered kind of Swerve, and we're only going to be using 1 teaspoon of that. Then we're going to add in 1/4 teaspoon of salt. Then we're going to sift it all together and make sure that there's no lumps or bumps or anything in this cake at all. After we've done that, we're going to combine the wet ingredients with the dry ingredients, and we're going to mix it in really, really well to make sure everything is combined together. After we've done that, we will be putting all of the wet ingredients into the 8x8 cake pan, and we're gonna bounce it on the counter to make sure there's no air bubbles in there. I'm going to go ahead and set my microwave timer for 45 minutes, and you're going to want to just continue to check your cake after about 30 minutes to see where it's at. Stick a toothpick in there to make sure it comes out clean. So now that we have done that, we're going to go ahead and do the frosting, which is my favorite part of any cake. So here's what we're going to need. We're going to need 1 cup of unsalted butter. I'm using the Kerry Gold, I believe that's what it's called. It is a grass-fed butter, and I'm using 2 sticks of that, and also just so you know, I left it out on the counter so it is softened. The second item I'm going to be using is the confectioner Swerve sugar. This is the powdered sugar, and you're going to need 1 cup of that as well. You're going to need 3 tablespoons of coconut milk, full fat cocoa milk that we used in the cake batter. And then you're also going to need 1 tablespoon of the coffee mixture. You're going to need a teaspoon of vanilla extract. And then you're going to need the chocolate for the chocolate frosting. So that's going to be 3 tablespoons of the chocolate powder again. Then we're going to add everything together and mix it really, really well within our mixer. You don't need to have one of these big stand mixers like I do. You can use a hand mixer or you can mix it by hand. After it has mixed for a while, you're gonna wanna go ahead and take your spatula and scrape down the sides of the bowl to make sure nothing is sticking at the bottom or on the sides, and blend it together just a little bit longer to make sure that it is all combined together and it is yummy and ready to go. So then I went ahead and took my spatula and make sure everything was combined, and I kind of mixed it for a minute with my hands just to make sure everything was good to go. I went ahead and set that frosting in the refrigerator until the cake was done. After 45 minutes, I was able to take the cake out, and I let it set for about an hour before I went ahead and frosted it and made sure it was cooled down. So I took the frosting out of the refrigerator, and we're gonna go ahead and frost this cake up. So you can see the frosting is kind of a thick frosting, but if I would have left it out on the counter, it wouldn't have been as thick, and I think that it would have been a lot easier to spread all over the cake, but I think it did really, really well. So after you spread every inch of your cake, I'm gonna go ahead and cut this cake into 16 slices. The recipe calls for 16 slices per serving, and here is our cake. So this is what the cake looks like when it is done. I already took a piece out here just for a thumbnail. I'm gonna go ahead and take a bite. I'm excited to see how it's going to work out and if I'm going to like it at all. So the frosting's really nice. The cake itself has a different taste to it. I like the frosting more than I like the cake, but I would say to give it a try and see what you think about it. It's not an actual cake-like texture, but it kind of is in a way. I don't know how to describe it. It's definitely a moist cake, so that's something to be happy. I don't like it. Let me explain. This is a cake that has the same flavor as anything that you make almond flour or hazelnut flour or coconut flour with. So it has that flavor. I don't particularly like that very much, but after putting it in the refrigerator overnight, my husband tasted it the next day and said it was a really, really good cake. He was happy with it. So he said that he would love for me to make it again at some point. For me, after tasting it the second day, I thought it tasted much better than the first day, but I just don't like the flavor of the almond flour or the hazelnut flour or the coconut flour. So it's just a taste for me. But again, like I said, my husband did like it. It reminds me a lot of the brownies that I made not too long ago that I did not film. It has the same kind of texture. It's not gritty, but it's not gritty, if that makes any sense. Probably doesn't. The frosting on it is really, really good. It does have that like cooling sensation that you get from erythritol. So if you don't like that, just make sure you maybe try monk fruit instead of erythritol if you can get that. It's not my favorite, but it will pass for a chocolate cake. So it's one that I'm gonna say, give a try and see what you think about it. I personally, for some reason, have not liked any of the keto sweets that I have made thus far and following other people's recipes. I think it has to do with the flour more than anything else. So again, my son tasted it. He said he liked it. For me, it's just something that I don't like the texture and the taste of the flour. So this may be something that you absolutely will enjoy. For me, I just have weird tastes and this is not for me. So I'm gonna go ahead and put all the information down below. That way you can give it a try. Other people within my family like the texture of the almond flour and the coconut flour and stuff like that. I just don't like it personally. But I will continue to make these kind of desserts for you until I find something that I enjoy. Okay guys, I hope you guys enjoyed this. Let me know if you have any questions down below, and I hopefully will come with you with another recipe sometime soon. Bye!